was trying to play car. But interestingly enough, this has to be a driving video because some people may argue that the argument between atheists and theists is the most fierce debate ever. When realistically, you'll find arguments like that across spheres, across different groups, within different groups, and so forth. It is seriously not a unique thing when it comes to discourse. One of these debates is actually the debate between drivers of a manual car and drivers of an automatic. And I think it's actually a very apt connection between the two of them. Because really, when you think about it, each one can have their own arguments that can apply easily to the religious debate as well. Let us start with the manual drivers, the argument against them, first of all. It is more trouble, it takes longer to learn. And ultimately, if you can choose an automatic, why bother learning a manual? It's not like you're going to need it. I'd argue you do, and in fact, as a manual driver myself, I can tell you that knowing what your vehicle is doing in different gears is very important. Furthermore, it allows you to recognise when a vehicle is starting to die on you much quicker, having had an automatic break down me in the middle of the Australian outback. I had no idea until the very last moment when smoke was pouring out from the car and it wouldn't go anywhere. How can this apply to the theist and atheist argument? Well, interestingly enough, theists might say atheists are either taking the lazy route, just ignoring all the hard work that religion does and just piggybacking off its success. They're missing out the heritage of it. And they just want things to be smooth and easy. Therefore, if an automatic exists, why bother with a difficult vehicle? That is a similar argument. However, atheists might argue the same regarding theists, saying that they're taking the easy route, putting all their blame on someone else, refusing to take responsibility, and will odds are flounder when things go wrong. But both of them could easily argue the other way. And that is the interesting thing. I've often said that the arguments on both sides can easily be seen as positive and negative, depending on the position you're on, not on whether the position itself is correct. It's not a spectrum. It's, if anything, a loop or a Mobius strip. You'll be amazed how much of it is actually remarkably close to what other people are arguing for. It's an interesting position to be in, but you need to be able to argue from both sides in order to completely understand. That is why I favour the Socratic method over the dialectic one. Because unless you understand your opponent's position, you are not going to have any way, shape or form to know whether you are making a blunder, a straw man, something like that. Because you're just not willing to understand it from their position to start with. And if you're not going to do that, then why are you bothering to have a debate in the first place? That is an important thing. Understanding why you're having the debate. If it's just to make your voice heard, then realistically, it is not a good debate. It's just a shouting match, an opinion poll. To listen, to understand, and hopefully exchange views in a productive manner, then you are hopefully going to make something work out. One could easily say this debate can spring up in all manner of circles and even be matched in similar veins. For example, not just the manual versus the automatic, but the diesel versus petrol, the internal combustion versus the electric vehicle, the right-hand drive versus the left-hand drive, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, the vehicle you drive matters very, very little in the grand scheme of things. It's how you drive it that decides whether or not you're in the right or not. It is super easy to fall into those traps and think that just because you have such and such a vehicle, you had the priority, you had the superior position, when that is certainly not the case. As we all know with BMW drivers, people on the right, and people from certain areas of the world, the second you say that they are wrong and you are right, you have no position at all to argue. You can only point at certain individuals, narrow it down to the point where it's literally the individuals that matter more than the vehicle, more than the position. When realistically, all the arguments that you can make against them can apply to your side as well. I know for a fact that there are theists who are irrational, who make straw men, who do ridiculous things when it comes to post-debates. Even when I also see atheists do those exact same things with just as much disregard for the truth. They just literally make a post because it happens to line up with their views, and it doesn't support your side at all. Sometimes the worst thing we can do to ensure our case is to post random stuff that happens to support it. But all it does is weaken your position. Just like so many people on the far right. And with just that position, I'll leave it there. It's a new year now, literally this time of writing. So stay humble, stay safe, God be with you, and have a happy new year, my friends.